Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the Gaz Williams Show. Pleased if you can join me. I'm just going to waffle a little bit just until we're on streaming and I can see we're streaming and all is well. And anybody who's in the chat room, if they can just say a quick hello, that really helps me move on. But yes, welcome. If it's your first time here, this is the Gaz Williams Show. I try and do shows, I was doing them much more regularly, but I'll try and do shows more regularly in the future, hopefully. But yes, I typically cover all sorts of things about music technology or music in general. But yeah, and tonight we're going to be looking at this little IntelliGel palette. This is, I think it's 62 HP. And it's got a €1 and then, 62 HP wide. Right. I just check it. Hey, hello, everybody. Okay, chat room's coming online. All is well. Thank you very much for joining me. And if you can join live and future shows, if you're watching this after the fact, that would be really nice. We've got a very good chat room here, really friendly, and I'm just going to glug some water. I just literally wolfed my supper down before doing this show. So nice. Hello, everybody. Hello. Okay, lots of people now in the chat room. Wonderful. Really nice. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so I'm going to explain a little bit about what we're looking at here. Okay, so little apologies to the non-modular people, of which I know there's many. But this is something I've been wanting to do for a while, which is mess around with alternative ways of programming drums. And in this case, the Qubit Pulsar is going to be our little gadget to help us do that. Now, this uses a few different approaches. I've not really used anything quite like it, so we'll have a little look at that. And this is like a 4-channel gate sequencer, essentially. And here, next door to it, we have the VPME quad drum. Now, Vlad is a friend of mine, and he kindly gave me this, so I am really thrilled with it, and we'll go over that a little bit because it's a really phenomenal little module. Well, big module, but it's convenient here because we've got our 4 Pulsar channels and our 4 drum voices here. Now we've got stages here from Mutable Instruments. More about that in a moment. I can see Di Stanton in the chat room. Got me a full-size grids clone. So that's cool. He's, original mutable gear is climbing in price. Yeah, that's true. So we're talking there about, I was talking on Sonic Talk, on Sonic State earlier, and a question came from Di actually, about whether to get a marbles or a grids. Well, grids is a drum sequencer, really. You could do it, you could use it with other things, but it really is a terrific drum sequencer. Very different, although there is a few similarities to what we're going to be doing tonight. Oh, I think, have we got Wagyu in the chat room? Wagyu, I believe it is your birthday today. A very happy birthday from me, and I'm sure everybody in the chat room would love to say the same. You've been an amazing supporter, not just of my show, but of Sonic State and many of the affiliated people and stuff. Hats off, Wagyu. Thank you very much. Amazing. Happy birthday. Right. But yeah. So these modules then. Right. I'm going to just glug this water. This water, it's too dangerous having a big pint of water with all this gear. Well, let's just go back here a little bit. And, okay, so what else we've got? So, Mutable Instruments stages. Now, this is an original Mutable Instruments one, and I bought this one recently because Mutable Instruments are stopping production, and they are just such a genius company. But I'm not really getting... I'm literally scratching the surface with this. It's not actually doing an awful lot tonight, but maybe that'll expand. And also another module which I've had for a while, but I haven't really got the most out of it yet. This is made by 4 robots, and it's an ornaments and crime. Now, this is an open source platform, various manufacturers, much like the Mutable Instruments ones. It's like a 4-channel CV processor. In some ways, a little bit like the Civilization or Civilization from Yuhi. But it mostly deals with things like quantizing and other kind of CV processing. Okay, and then just to finish off our little tour of what we got here tonight, we got a little Mosaic LFO. Okay, so that's a really basic LFO, but we have got an attenuator so we can control the strength of that CV signal coming out. And you've got here like a wave shape that can go between, I think, ramp, triangle, and square. And then the other bits of interest, certainly of interest, is this little one hiding in here. This is an ALM MFX. Now, these things have been super rare because of the component shortage, but I think the stock levels are kind of coming back on them. Now, this is quite an interesting little... it's a MFX as in multi-effects. I mean, it's only a single effect at a time, but there's lots of different effect algorithms in here. Also, on top of the effect algorithms, there's actually some utility algorithms. Like I've got a tuner on here, and also let's see what else we've got. We got a scope. So our quad, the 2 channels of our quad drum are coming into the ALM, and then that's coming into this endorphins one. I'll mention that in a moment. But there's a scope, and also there's a clock meter here as well. Now, our clock for tonight is coming from the Pulsar. So if I was to hold down channel and turn this rate knob, let me see. I think I can do this so we can have a nicer close-up. Yeah, let's look at that. And then, like I'm turning the tempo up there. We can see the BPM. Yeah. So actually, that's quite a neat little thing, isn't it? A clock meter. So I've got a clock coming out of the Pulsar, and then from the Pulsar, the clock is coming into this little mult. So I've got two instances of that clock coming out. It's quite nice, this IntelliGel case having a mult built in, and we can see the light there, and it goes through. So I could have, if I wanted to, 8 outs of that clock, or I could break that connection if I wanted another mult on there. Okay. Here I am using all this jargon like I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I just finished this little tour though. What else is going on? In the end, at the end of the chain here is the Endorphins Golden Master, which is like a 3-band EQ compressor and stereo enhancer that is based on the TC Finalizer. That's the idea of it. Okay, and then there's just some output there from IntelliGel. It's quite a simple, small little rig, but actually this has got incredible possibilities. Right, let's make some sound. Let's just let's call up with the MFX. I'm going to dial in an effect here. Let's bring in like just a delay first. Okay. Now, I'll kind of explain what's going on in a moment. So we're going to get kind of... So even though this is a drum sequencer, we could have some pitches going on here as well. Okay. So, I'll break this all down in a moment and just for fun, whilst we've got this going on, I'll just go through some other sounds off this MFX. So this is I'm going to turn on the crumbular echo. Now here's one of the downsides of the MFX when you change algorithm. Yeah, there's a little break in the sound. But the Crumbler algorithm is a granulizer. What's quite nice with the MFX is if I mess around with the settings, change them, and then move to another algorithm, when I go back to that one, then the settings are exactly as I left them. You can reset them, and you can load in presets as well. In fact, let's load in some presets on here. Soggy whirls. Soggy whirls. Okay. Untidy kitchen. Oh. So let's have a look. If we look in now in here, have a look at parameters, time, spray, which, you know, is like a granulizer, isn't it? Size. Now, what is pretty cool with this is we've got 3 CV inputs. So I'm feeding the output of the little mosaic LFO into CV1. And what's kind of cool is we could make CV1 affect any of the parameters we want with an individual kind of offset and attenuator for each of them. What do I mean by that? Okay, so size here, let's go back a close up. Oh yeah, when it's blown out a bit there. Size. If I turn that all the way to the left, sorry, I'm setting it to CV1 now, and kind of you can see this little indicator now. So if I play with the rate of the LFO, so we got a little kind of indicator. So I'm messing with the CV size, but kind of cool. If I do a long press on that, then it gives me an offset and an attenuator. So let's just turn this down again. Whoops. It blows out this screen here, doesn't it? But so we can just have a little bit of it going on. But then I guess this is what's cool is if I go to any of the other parameters now. Oh, let's go. Hang on, I saw that was mono. Let's go stereo. So it's not the nicest patch here, but so feedback any of these parameters, like high cut. If I can't make that any dark. Can I? Oh, hang on. Yes, there. I'm trying to make that screen display. No. Sorry about this. Right, but I'm going to swizzle that all the way to the left. And any of these parameters, when you get all the way to the left, then the parameter then changes. The parameter changes to one of the 3 CVs, which you can't really tell there, but see, CV3, I can set it to CV1. So you can have that CV affecting, that one CV input affecting every single parameter on here, and then by, you know, with an attenuator and an offset. So basically you can modulate the, I don't know what I was going to, the buggery, I guess, I'm out of it, but yes, Crumbler Echo Ursa Minor, based on the famous Ursa Major, I think. And this one you can make it either a reverb or an echo. Now, this is the 1.02 firmware, which gives us a new reverb called the ALM MFX reverb. Sounds quite nice. Increase the size. Yeah. And then hold down back button and press, this is a little back button here, and then press this as well, and it acts as a bypass. It's a pretty neat little effects unit, I think. Okay, so let's Right, let's get back into action here. The robotic critics. Sorry, yeah, I'm just leaving things rolling. Take the pitch out a bit now. Yeah, so I'm going to really talk about the Pulsar because it's pretty odd. It's really, well, before we talk about the Pulsar, this quad drum is very sort of performable, isn't it? Kind of interesting. Both of these modules use this kind of central sort of push encoder with LEDs around it. So the quad drum has no way of sequencing itself. Well, maybe you could do something with. You can do internal LFOs, so you can do certain things with it. Okay, this is a bit crazy. The bottom here, we could just mute them out. And those mutes are really fast and musical. If I move this from mute to the middle bit here, then I got these 4 buttons at the bottom here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Although they're not numbered as such, but in this mode, hit them. I got volume levels for each one. They're not just volume levels. Volume is on the first press. I've also got EQ. I've got 3 bands of EQ and a compressor as well for each voice, which is really nifty. And also, if you hold down these things and turn it, we get a pan, although I'm going through, I think, yeah. So we can pan things around as well, which is nifty. Okay, let's just mute out these now. Right, I'll talk more about this VPME quad drum over the course of this little session, because it's packed full of stuff. It really is. There's 4 assignable LFOs and 4 CV inputs, and you can send them to any of the voices. Now, the voices, they can be samples, or they can be wavetables, or they can be models. So there's a bunch. I think there's 16 different models available. And there's a little SD card here, so it can play back samples, and you can actually control the samples by volt per octave as well, if you put it into the CV input. So if you had a bunch of like samples, multi-samples of a whole piano with every note laid out, then you could then select which note to play. So you could do like a full, I can't remember what the sample count is, but theoretically you could play a whole multi-sampled instrument 4 times. It's kind of cool. I'm still just learning it, so I've not actually delved very deeply into it beyond the models, and it's the models that we're going to be playing with tonight. But also the Pulsar. My goodness, there's almost too much to talk about here. But the Pulsar, this is a burst generator. That's how it describes itself. And we've got a few controls here, like gravity and absorb, burst, which in some ways a fancy burst kind of is like a restart. It sort of just, but there's a whole bunch of ideas with a burst generator that are a little bit different from gate sequencers that I've used. So again, we'll look at that in a bit, but the basic idea here is that we've got a channel button here, and we can switch between our 4 different channels. Now, as luck would nearly have it, 3 of the colours tally with the quad drum. So we've got a blue, and we've got a green, and we've got a red. So I map the outputs, even though 1, 2, 3, 4, it isn't exactly 1, 2, 3, 4. Red is 4. And I think blue, well, blue is 1. Yeah, okay. So it's just, it's much easier having the colours. All I've got to remember is that the kind of purpley colour is yellow. That's the one bit that doesn't match up, which is a bit of a shame. But it's fine. It's fine. I find that it's kind of cool. So those colours then, see green here is going to be sending triggers, gates to this voice here. So let's actually have a listen to what that green one is doing. Oh, actually, no, let's do the red one. Okay, let's see. Why am I getting no sound? Is it's sending? Yeah, it's sending. Oh, let's just turn that one on. Mute. Okay. Oh, don't worry. I'll do the yellow one for now then. Right. Okay. So let's have a little look at what's going on with this thing here. Okay. I've got an internal LFO going on, which is messing with the sound of this. Just turn it up a little bit. Oh yeah, I turned it down here, didn't I? So pan it around. Okay, let's leave it in the middle. It does this thing where you've got values in between. This is like a click knob, but like you can see this is lighting up here. It lights up 2, 1, 2, 3. It doubles up the resolution. Okay. So I've got a lot of triggers coming out of this. So if I turn this knob now, I can add triggers in. Until they're all in there. And this is using a Euclidean method of dividing. Now, there's 4 different modes on here. This is Euclidean one. So if I move it now, you can see this lets me choose which mode. Can you see? It's split it into 4 quadrants. Mode 2 is our Euclidean mode. But if we go to mode 1, this is like a traditional kind of sequencer now. All of our gates, which have been placed by the Euclidean process, if I turn this around, let's just get in on here a little bit. As I turn this around, this lets me sort of just manually pop in, or I can turn on and off gates. Now, so once we've got our little pattern set up, I've got a stages coming in here now. So the stages is, I'm just using this as a very simple LFO. And I've got 2 outputs of this coming in. So here, channel 1 is going to modulate this wheel. So if I just put that in a little bit now, you can see, it's splitting it into 4 quadrants. Mode 2 is our Euclidean mode. But if we go to mode 1, this is like a traditional kind of sequencer now. All of our gates, which have been placed by the Euclidean process, if I turn this around, this lets me sort of just manually pop in, or I can turn on and off gates. Now, So this LFO is going to like rotate the location of those gates. Now I've got a length control here, which lets me like cut down how many gates there are. I guess with this kind of thing, with it. See, but of course, I could modulate the length of this as well. So the other LFO. Oh, hang on. Yep, I've got it coming from this here. This LFO now is kind of modulating how long or how short the pattern is. Now, what makes this kind of cool though is there are virtual attenuators for all 4 channels. So let's demonstrate that now. So if we were to enable our kind of kick, did I need to just unmute it? Yeah. I'm just going to take the CV out from that for now. Okay, so it's the blue channel here. So I'll switch it to the blue channel. And we can see we've essentially got a 4 on the floor here with a little pushed one. Now, say I've got this kick pattern. Look, the attenuator is per channel. So like if I apply a bit of that to this channel, so it's rotating that panel, that sort of patch around that pattern. So you can see, like, as you kind of add in these extra channels onto this, and with it modulating, it's always going to be kind of doing things, making it always a little bit different. Okay. Bringing in the red one in now. Let's get to our red channel on here. So there's not many. I'll add. It's all very skittery and glitchy at the moment. But we can see that this one is being moved around as well. It's kind of a really weird way of creating always different patterns. I mean, it's all a little bit, kind of haphazard, but this is so nice how fast you can kind of just. Let's get some echo on the affair. There's a tape echo here. Let's try that. Got it clocked externally, so it's a bit chaotic. I've put a load of. The CV1 is modulating loads of stuff. Like if I take that out. Okay. Okay, let's get something else on the go now. All right. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to try and make something musical with this pitched note here. Oh, I'm so sorry, Chatty's is flying past. I'm missing out on that. Synth Addict is suggesting that I should use the quad Turing machines on the ornaments and crime to control stuff. Yes, that is a very good point. Now, actually, let's just turn that off for a moment. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just having to remember to flick the little toggle switch up into mute. So this is kind of using relatively few controls to kind of cover a surprising amount of ground without using any like a display, like any digital display. Ornaments and crime, which is doing very little at the moment, it is set up to do some pitch quantizing, and that's what we could have a little look at as well. The ornaments and crime, it's a curious little beast. This is in a 1U format, but you can get it in sort of in the regular 3U format. Hey, Ty. Brilliant. Ty Unwin here. But yeah, this I actually got this module off Steve Davis because he had it first, but Steve has pretty much decided he likes modules which are what you see is what you get, that don't have these abstraction and sort of menu diving layers. Now this is very menu divey, really. But it contains a bunch of, let's just long press on here, is it? I'm always forgetting which buttons to do. Yeah. This takes us up to our kind of algorithm chooser. And then here we can pick between a bunch of ones. Now, they're named slightly differently, I think, on this particular one than some of these have got Quartermain, or they've got different names. Here they're just named more or less logically what they are. Quadrature LFO, so 4-channel LFO sequencer, byte beats, chords, voltages. There's a lot of stuff in here. But we're going to go into the quantizer for now. And the quantizer is super deep. It really is. This control here lets me choose which one of the 4 quantizers it is. So I have got, let's see. I might use this. Yeah, I'm going to use this LFO actually. I'm going to use the little LFO coming out of here. We're going to go into, oops, that wants to go into there. I'm going to go into channel 1. Okay, so my LFO now is being quantized, pitch quantized, and it's being pitch quantized by, I can choose Dorian, as it is chosen here. I can go through, I've got a load of different scales. Let's get closer on here. I got loads of different scales I can pick. Let's get it making some sound so we can hear it working. Let's come out of the effects. Okay. So let's get that CV. Let's plug that one into here. Now, the LFO shape and the LFO strength, I'm just changing that on the little mosaic here. This is the LFO strength. Now, in this menu, we have got tons of stuff. So we can choose scales, active notes, so we can actually turn off particular notes from within that scale anyway. CV source. trigger source, etc. So we can have a single trigger, which I've got the clock plugged in. So that single trigger could trigger all 4 quantizers. Could use octave. Transpose and fine. Trigger delay as well. Clock division. Yeah, so I could have it changing notes faster than the clock coming in. So now if I play with the LFO shape, playing with the LFO shape now should give us different melodies. So try and find something cool. Kind of like it down in the bass, I think. So my mod control here. So now it's probably a good time to talk about the models on here. So I'll press the button when I'm in the mute mode. Green is flashing here, showing these are our different models. Look, if I come right down here, we'll have start with some kicks. Different kick. And I think that the mod control is mapped to do different things. And I think some of the models will respond to volt per octave, which is kind of what we've got coming from the Ornaments and Crime. So some of these are more suitable. Well, that sounds like a Carpus Strong, doesn't it? Not my best work. Get some more effects in here now. Let's try, oh yeah, the compressor here. Let's try that. The presets, yeah, tighten. Yeah. Portal getting in the way. It's not in the way for me, just make it way for the camera. Okay, let's mute out. Oops. Cool. So it's kind of interesting. This is working with a smaller case here. As I say, 62 HP, but with the 1U rail as well. It's well, for me, I'm kind of using this as a way of kind of really trying to learn individual modules by putting them into this and then playing around with them and then moving them out into some of the bigger cases that I've got here. But also, I think it's easier for me anyway, to get my head around these kind of smaller instruments, because this still blows my mind with how much you can do with it. Yeah, so I think what I might do now then is just try and do something completely different, and try and do something that is, I don't know, like a reset almost, and take it off in a different. So obviously this is one of the things with modular, you know, you're on your computer and you want to do something new, save. New. You're straight away ready to go. Oh, actually, I want to go back to that last one. Open. Bing, there it is, exactly as it was when you left it. You know, we've grown over the years to become very, very reliant on multiple versions, being able to save instantly, go back. God, I remember, I think was there some of the first person shooters that wouldn't let you save, or well, still a lot of them don't let you save until you get to certain points in the game, and then some you could just save, kill someone, save, kill someone, save, kill someone. But yes, I digress. Modular now, to sort of go back to something, forget it, is gone forever. There's far too many variables to ever get it back to as it was. Thankfully, what I'm going to get rid of wasn't particularly great, so I'm not too bothered about that. Yeah, so I guess first thing I'm probably going to do then, to do a reset on this. I think I can. There are presets. I'm just going to catch up actually with some chat room, because there's loads of stuff being said. Synth Addict saying as a steppy 1U would be great with this case. I've got the steppy in my live rig and I'm getting really into that. So yeah, but that's not the 1U, that's the regular 3U one. Hey, good evening, Tom from Synth Anatomy. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for joining. I'm just catching up with things. Excuse me. Bill Smith says these smaller IntelliGel cases are very fun and found them more useful and higher quality than the 4MS pods, for example. Well, the pods are really simple, aren't they? They're just things for putting really, you know, maybe even just single modules. Stages looks like the Teenage Engineering mixer. It does actually, although I think it's bigger. The Stages is bigger. Studio's looking dope today, says Wes Darling. Thank you, darling. It's quite busy in this room. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, okay. So I'm just trying to catch up a little bit. Thank you so much, though, everybody, for joining me live. I really appreciate the company and coming along. Yeah, so let's get back to what we got going on. I'm going to do something new. So. I guess the easiest way to do that then is on all of the channels on here. I'm going to set them all to be in Euclidean and all just a single. They're all just going to just do a single downbeat. And if I press absorb. Oops. Oh, some of them are running at different rates. I think there is some sort of global reset for this. Can't remember what it is right now. That's the problem with these things. You know, when it's abstract, you hold this down and then click an encoder and stuff like that. You get it in time. You just need to sort of, I don't know, spend a lot of time with things. Oh yeah. Actually, I could just slow all of the channels down. So all of the channels you can control at different rates, and you can make them asynchronous or synchronous. So basically what that means is you could hit the burst and this could just do its own thing irrespective of the clock, or you can clock it to an external clock, which I'm not doing at the moment. But yeah, this idea of you press burst and then it'll just do a bunch of things, and basically each of the channels you can tell it to loop or not. We're used to it as a sequencer just being set to loop, but if you turn off the loop, it'll just do a single burst like this now. So if I hit burst, it'll just do, so then I could choose the speed of it, burst, and then, you know, how many gates do I want to happen? Or when I switch it back here, it just becomes like a sequencer constantly cycling. It's a bit different, I think. So, and like gravity, if you hit the gravity control, then it kind of does weird things, like as though it's I'm not quite sure what has the gravity. You can see it sort of whoop. Yeah, so it's a funny, you know, slightly different approach to this kind of thing. Okay, so I'm just working with this green channel then. So let's go now and unmute our green channel. And let's choose what that green channel is doing. So if I just go to kicks, for instance, then this is kick model 1, decay. Yeah, so the mod in this case is like putting like a kind of brighter click attack at the front of it. Let's slow that down now. It's kind of cool, isn't it? A little bit of modulation moving it around, or we could just stop it moving entirely. If I take the modulation this way, I'll be kind of rotating the pattern backwards, although it's a bit too fast to see that. Yeah, let's have a look here now. So let's have a little listen to some of these. Pretty cool kick, isn't it? Right, I mentioned that there's built-in LFOs onto this. A little bit convoluted, but it's not too hard. I go down to the bottom switch on here, and then if I press these two, that would select the LFO for this one. These two select the LFO for this one. These two switches select the LFO for this one. And then the top two switches, if you push both of them, that would get the LFO for that one. But I say for each one, but you can change that. So in this case, I'm going to pick hitting the bottom two. Now, so this is the language of this. If I press this here, I can choose which one of the three: decay, pitch, and mod. So if I come out of this ring becomes our attenuator. So let's have it change the pitch quite a bit. So I don't want it to change the pitch, have it changing the decay now. Yeah, and if I press onto it there, you can see it's cycling with that. That's the speed of the LFO, and you can see it's quite a slow LFO. Let's make this LFO go faster. Quite nice, isn't it? I mean, it's quite visual when you get around it. And then like a long press on this will let me then choose different waveforms for the LFO. So typically when you got two colors similar, you will have or like this square wave here, but if you the one next to it will be a synced one, which will basically trigger a new LFO on each gate. So like here we have a sine, and here we have a synced sine. This is ramp up, ramp down, both synced, I think. And then up here you get your kind of randoms and sample and holds. I'll just put it back to that for now. Okay. So it's actually a really nice interface. And you got 4 of them LFOs then. And you got 4 CV inputs. And the CV inputs have a very similar kind of approach to setting them. Okay. Let's get back onto, pretty much when you toggle the switch, it acts like a kind of back button in a way. It'll just jump back to what the default state should be in each of the 3 toggle switch settings. I've got my mute switch on here. Let's bring our little yellow one in now. Now I've got this just doing, oh sorry, it's purple in this case. Now we'll look at some of the other ways of modes on here. So when it's in Euclidean, you can see add 2 steps, add 3 steps. It'll subdivide where they can be 4 steps. But then if I press down on this at any one time, I can kind of rotate where those 4 steps kind of start. 5 steps, and you can see as you go up that Euclidean distribution, how it distributes across the 16 steps. Right, let's change on the rate here for this. Okay, so that's kind of nice. And as I mentioned earlier, if I go back mode to the first mode, the first quadrant here, this gives me like a step sequencer. I can just rotate and I can take away steps. If I take away this batch of 3 here. So now I've got that modulator coming in here to rotate this if I wanted to. And of course, I didn't hold down channel. If I held down channel, it would apply that to only this channel. I did it, let's put it back, so it was changing the kick as well. So reset it back there and then hold the channel button and then the kick isn't going to change. Okay. Bringing in another one now. Let's bring in red. Let's get our red channel up on here. So it's quite an interesting way of programming. It's a totally different from the kind of 808 style 16-step. Although you can actually, if you wanted to, if you just use this and in its first mode, you could essentially use it like that type of. I see in the chat room. I'm like, am I moonlighting away from grids? I was talking about grids in the chat room. Sorry, I was talking about grids on Sonic Talk earlier, and grids is in my live rack, and I love it there. I think it's easier for me to understand what I'm doing in the heat of the moment. I really like it so for my live rig, it's definitely staying there. I think the Pulsar might be a little bit too. The Pulsar might be a little bit too fiddly live. Well, no, you absolutely could use it live, but the way I like to use grids is I like to use grids as a sort of like a default groove machine. Really, that's what it's so good at. This is all very hit and miss whether it kind of grooves or not. Well, that's a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it? And imagine I was thinking about grooves, and I was thinking, well, you could set the volume to be modulated on each one of these, either with another CV input or using the internal LFOs. Grids. Edna loves grids, and Crescent thinks grids sounds cool, and Technomatic is asking me, how many cases am I now up to? Aha. Have I ever mentioned that? Well, I've got a small one here in a nifty case. I've got, of course, the Waldorf there. Then I've got 4 rack brutes. No, 3 rack brutes. Sorry, I got 3 rack brutes. One of which is attached to a mini brute 2, and I've also got a 19-inch rack with a tip top. Can't remember what it's called. The tip top. It's like rack ears into a rack unit. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Isn't that terrible? I mean, this is one of the things. I was mentioning on Sonic Talk earlier that I'm a bit of a hoarder, and I am. I like having a collection of gear. I guess I do. And modular, I suppose. I've got a really nice collection of guitar effects and quite a nice collection of basses. It's sort of like, I don't. Yeah. Some people are like, if they don't use something in 6 months, they sell it. And I really admire that. I think that's, but I just pile up with gear. Yeah. But modular definitely, modular definitely is quite, well, it is addictive. The old Eurocrack thing does have, some truth to it. What's also flipping dangerous for me is that elevator sound. I can drive to elevator sound in less than 10 minutes and park. I can go from my room here and walk in the door of elevator sound in about 10 minutes. And you combine that with modular grid and also being able to go to Elevator Sound's website and seeing whether they've got something in stock. So it's like, oh, I'm on modular grid. Oh, I've got like 3 HP to fill. Oh gosh, I haven't got any more 3 HP modules. Oh, hang on. Oh, Erica Synths do some really amazing 3 HP stuff. Oh yeah, look. Oh, that would be nice. 20 minutes later, I'm putting it into the rack. It's dangerous. That is dangerous. And elevator sounds carry quite a lot of stock as well, so that makes it even more dangerous. Hey, Vlad is in the chat room. Vlad of VPME. So, Vlad, yes, here your QD. I am loving it. So, feel very honoured to have you joining us. Yeah. So you can get a new, that was what Vlad was showing actually at Superbooth this year, there's a breakout now for the quad drum. At the moment, all 4 voices I've got coming out of like a left and a right output. On the new breakout box, you can have all 4 voices out separately, which is kind of nice. Yeah, so okay, so what was I doing? I was messing around with things. Yeah, there is a relatively recent firmware update for the QD, for the quad drum, that adds a bunch of cool things, including a super saw synth as one of the models. Why don't we have a listen to the super saw? What we got going on here? Let's try our blue channel. Currently going to a kick. Let's just get it doing a bunch of things. I'll keep it in one place, so I'll modulate it. Let's get it more. Okay. So let's see. We'll go here. Choose my kick. Choose blue. There it is. So, let's get our CV. Let's get our CV modulating this thing. Okay. B. Okay, so let's go here. So I've got output B. So let's go to set output B. Trigger source, track 1. Trigger input 1. Yes. That's what we want. Yeah, so I can attenuate as well. If I go into my CV settings here, and I am on, let's just make sure I'm on my right CV input. Okay. So I can, let's get this doing something a bit more musical. Okay. Let's choose, oh yeah, we can add more notes in here. Let's get it playing a few more. Square wave, so I'm just square wave. It just could give me 2 notes, and I guess my strength. It's a bit hit and miss trying to make something musical with it like this. very much trial and error. Of course, rather than using an LFO, so I'm not having much joy with that there. What I'll do is in the little menu, I'm going to, as a CV source, I've got it set to CV1, but I'm going to move this over now, and I'm going to choose like a Logic. Which it's picking from. Logarithmic, logistics. So I don't know what on earth I'm doing with this here, but it's like some sort of logic generator to be the CV source. Byte beats. It's a hard way of like sequencing, I suppose. I don't know what on earth I'm doing with that. Let's come out of that byte beats. There's a lot to discover with this thing though. I'll just go back to that CV source, back to CV1 octave. I can turn on quantize of these voices. Where are they? Sorry, this is horrible. This has gone on too long. Sorry about this. Switch that. This is super sore. I'm not having much joy with melodies there, so I'll just go. Let's keep it rhythmic. Keep it funky. Yeah. Whoops. Quite enjoying this, like it being quite heavily compressed. But you have got compressors individually per voice on this, as well as EQ, as mentioned earlier. I defy anyone to find that not funky. Yeah. It's just so much fun. This is a great drum module. To really mess with the rhythm. I'm having too much of a good time now. If you long press on channel, it becomes a control where you can affect all four at the same time. So it's like breaks it right down. Yeah. See, for me, that's very, very fun. Like, that's really cool. And yeah, these two work, they do work really nicely together, these two. So obviously, I got a long way to go to get really good at this.
I have an answer for that.
Oh!
Is there something else I can help with?
Siri jumping in there for some strange reason. I'm going to probably sign off pretty soon, so hope that you enjoyed that. It's oh yeah, cool. I think this is a really wicked little setup. But man, you know, you could spend like years and years getting good, you know, learning to get good on this. A little shout out for my vaults though. Look, this is a new candy cable in licorice, but that's kind of pretty cool. A sprung, two-ended. So if you need to send a stereo signal, or in this case I'm sending two CV signals, but across a distance, then you got that, which is pretty nifty. Yeah, stages, that'll come. I'm in the early stages, with stages, but stages lets you do complex envelopes using all 6 sliders to make an envelope, or you can use it as like pairs of, like, you can have like 3 pairs of like a attack decay envelope or an attack release envelope, or if you can turn them into LFOs, and you can have 6 LFOs. I'm running the stock firmware on this, but there is an alternative firmware, as there is with many mutable instruments, and I'm kind of curious about that, because you can run these as 6 LFOs, and then these, rather than them at the moment when they're LFOs, this is affecting the shape of the LFO, you can make these attenuators. So we'll see. I want to kind of get to know it. It's in its stock firmware first, but I think it's a really interesting module, this one, so looking forward to that. And again, the Ornaments and Crime is a thing into itself. It's vast. There's so much in there. And the little MFX here from ALM, which I think is super cool, very flexible. God, when you look at this module, there's hardly anything on it. It's a tiny little module, and it's like a system on a chip. And I think that's why this one's been difficult to get hold of. I think the chips are probably that kind of thing, which are very modern system on a chip kind of thing. It's doing all the ADDA, everything just on a single chip. An astonishing lack of components on this thing, but it is good. It's good. Initially, I was thinking it had quite a thinnish sort of sound, but I think the sound is actually, I think it's actually really good. I think that it's got a sound of its own. Let's just do a few more things with the MFX just before we finish, and then Edna's Disco Machine is suggesting to try a Variegate 4 Plus over the stages. What, instead of the stages? Synthetic saying synth hoarding is very easy and fun most of the time. Oh, Bill Smith got a Super 6 recently. Yeah, saw me mentioned in the manual. Yes, thank you. That's cool. Yeah, I did have a very minor role in the Super 6, but George is a friend of mine, and told me about it from the beginning, and I was checking in with him at various times, giving him opinions at various points. One of the opinions that enthusiastically endorsed bringing Axel Hartmann in to complete the industrial design, which I think is a fantastic move, really, given Axel's amazing heritage, but lots of things over the time. So I've been really delighted with the Super 6. I bought mine. I bought mine off George. I rang him up and said I want to buy one, and I think it's an amazing synth. I love it, and I really, really enjoy every single second I use it for, and can't recommend them enough. It's kind of limited in some ways. What the Super 6 doesn't do is nasty and dirty, but I got pedals, and actually I'm going to do a video about the Super 6 in conjunction with the Electron Analog 4, the Analog Heat, for this precise purpose. Actually, it's like the Super 6 is kind of always beautiful, almost like kind of glossy. Not glossy, that's not the right term, but it's refined. It's got a certain refinement to it, and I think that putting it through the Analog Heat is a really interesting thing. The Analog Heat really brings a lot of interesting things to the party. So we'll look out for that one. I'll do that in the near future. Pa Bennicum saying, do you see a GED 2112? Yes, you do. That's my bass preamp in my studio. That's the Sans amp. It's the Geddy Lee one, and the Geddy Lee. It's called the GED 2112. Geddy Lee, one of my biggest heroes. I love him. He is amazing. Hey, Tom Tebby. Hey, Gaz, when are we going to do a drone bath again? Tom was one of the people who took part in the drone bath, recently took part in Birmingham. Really nice to meet Tom. Tom also did some of the fancy graphic design for the flyer and stuff, which is super cool. Also really nice to meet him. There was a great bunch of people, met a whole load of people. If you haven't seen it, on Sonic State there is a little mini doc that I shot about that event, which was I think there was 13 of us making a huge drone in individual Victorian cubicles. Yeah, I'm sure many of you have seen it. If you haven't, it's worth checking out because it was a really interesting event. And nice to meet you, Tommy. Tom Tebby. Tom, not Tommy Tebby, although I'm tempted to call you that. Yeah, that was a mad event. It was really fun. And it was a real, kind of din at times, but we were expecting that. But it was the quality of the din was really cool. Okay, so I'm going to finish off anyway tonight with a little bit more with the MFX, because it's got this new update, and I'm just exploring what that can do. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far. I certainly have. I'm getting carried away. I'm going to probably let it do a similar thing that I've just been playing with. Now, all the time we've been hearing this particular pattern, we have been using the let's get on to the little close up there. We've been using the compressor on this thing. So we've got a transient shaper. Let's have a listen to that. Let's just tilt filter on. Oh yeah, look at this tilt filter. Nice little graphics on this thing. Can't hear it doing a lot. Have I got it in bypass? No. Let's choose some presets. Short and sharp. Oof. Thanks Wagyu for sharing that link to the thing, to the event. Try another smear. Oh yeah, smearing the transients there. Blown out. Ooh, hang on. Kind of cool, I think, having these kind of sounds available, and some user presets as well. Let's have a look what other. I won't go through all of the there. The 2051 bit corruptor. Ready for this? Let's have a look at some of these presets on here. Connection error. Let's have a look what we got here. Bit depth, 12-bit, MULO, 8-bit, 4-bit. Oops. Sounds quite cool, doesn't it? I guess then as well, if I was to go to the mix, just use a little bit of that 4-bit. That's kind of cool. Just a low mix of that. Reverse. Lock in. Yes. Glitch risk 25%. High. Repeat risk. High. Buffer size. Clocking it to our clock. Sample rate. Mix. That's kind of pretty cool. Yeah, talking about the display, to use the green one as opposed to the red one on PAMs. Yeah, do you know what? I think this one is easier to see, although, yeah, it is. I think it's the same display, but it's a little bit, with PAMs, because of the available space, I think the kind of, the shroud around it is a bit tighter as well. So, okay, whoa. Cool. All right, let's just have a little one. We've got a modulating panner, which go full depth on that, I would have thought. Oh, you have to be. Yeah, external clock, slope, what's that do? This pattern is called subtle widening. A bit more chill after that last one. There is an Easter egg. Oh, I think there's a few Easter eggs in this. One of which is there is a built-in reverb in the. I think you long press on here, and then we get. Okay. So having this on the global setting, it's adding. It's like quite nice. It's like a fill control. It's like having the three controls of grids, the fill controls in one knob. And pair it right back. Hey Tom Curtin. Hung out with Tom the other day. Very cool guy. Let's just have a look at one more ring and frequency modulator. It's kind of cool in there. It's a modulator, internal or from the inputs. Envelope follow. I haven't played with some of these. Let's look at some of the presets. Maximum shift. Let's see, we can do like. Yeah, so the bypass is kind of nifty. Frequency shifter, 2 kilohertz ring mod. So it does let you load in presets in bypass. Harry Turner, currently got the Hydrasynth and the light show is better than some 80s gigs he went to. Brilliant. Great Vegas mode on the Hydra. Cool. I want a Hydrasynth. Okay. I think I've probably taken way too much of your time tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly love this little setup. Let's just end by going to the Almacon reverb. It's not the most refined reverb, the MFX, but it's kind of character reverb, definitely. And as I mentioned earlier, the amount of modulating that you can do on it is quite impressive. 3 CV inputs. Each one of those CV inputs can be routed to any of the parameters. Well, thanks everyone. Gonna, I guess, ride off into the sunset. Does Kent's Bong have a spare Hydra synth? Yeah, well, thanks again, everybody, for joining me. I really appreciate you taking time out, and certainly for keeping that chat room busy and alive. It's a real honour and a thrill to have you. Keep an eye out this weekend for content. I'm not sure when it will start appearing, but I'll be with Sonic State over at Synthfest in Sheffield. Please consider coming if you haven't already decided to do that. It's a good fun event. It's not super booth, but well, what is? Yay! Thanks, Vlad. Vlad is VPME himself, joining us tonight. The man who made this absolutely terrific module, which is superb. Okay, as it just vanishes off now, let's just swarm out the reverb. Size. Take the diffusion down. Mix up. B delay down. Dampen it down. Mix. There. There it goes. Kind of some weird noise going on there. Nice Starship background hum. Very good. And happy birthday once more to Wagyu, who is the most incredible supporter of not just my show, Sonic State, many others. Brilliant, wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing links about this show earlier on Sonic Talk. Really appreciate it. Okay, everybody, thanks once more. I'll be back hopefully. Oh, no, I can't next week. Although I might be able to if I get back in time. But I'll try and tweet or something if I'm going to do the show next week. I want to try and get back to doing them much more regularly. But yeah, okay. Thanks, everybody.